So, welcome to the podcast. I have not made a title for this podcast yet, and I think eventually that will come into fruition, but for now I'm just making episodes, and I'm gonna consider this to be episode 1, but I did do a live video on my Instagram, which didn't go so well, so I didn't post it to YouTube. Anyways, if you're here from Instagram, hello, and thank you for listening. And if you're here just coasting YouTube, awesome. I'm so glad to have some type of audience, and I'm just get right into it. So, something that just crossed my mind randomly today was the ego, right? The problem with having too big of an ego, or maybe even having too little of an ego, if that's possible, because, the spiritual practice of, like the new age spiritual practice of diminishing your ego, or, like the idea of having no ego, I feel like is a little damaging to mental health. Maybe even really like detrimental to mental health if I'm right. But I don't want to say that I'm like completely right or completely wrong about my opinion on diminishing your ego, because I think that having an ego is very important. And I don't think it's important enough to the point where I could rationalize why having a huge ego is actually a good thing, because I wonder, is it okay to rationalize, having a big ego? Like, is it actually necessarily a bad thing, or is it possibly a good thing? Like, it puzzles me because a lot of people, for a lot of different reasons, are insecure, or they just want to cover up their true self with diamond rings and jewelry and fancy clothes or money, women, success. But all those things that I just mentioned are the key to a successful, happy life, stress-free life. If you want to live a stress-free life, you want to be more free, right? You want to have freedom. That's what your really ultimate goal is. And in order to achieve that success, you do have to have an ego. Because let's take the situation of some billionaire, multi-billionaire that has the most beautiful wife, and let's say this guy is under the radar. Like, let's say we don't even know who this guy is, and he's not famous, but he's very wealthy, and he has a beautiful wife, kids, everything. And let's say that he didn't have an ego the entire time. If he didn't have an ego, where did he get his drive from? Or where did he get his motivation from? What was driving him to make every step forward if he didn't have an ego? Nothing. That's just plain and simple. You kind of have to take everything, every step in your life with a grain of salt. Like, maybe there is times where you shouldn't be so egotistical. Like, maybe in an argument, you don't want to have an ego there. You would really need to humble yourself. But in opportunities where an ego is important is when, let's say when you need to make a move. Like you need to get yourself together, right? Like maybe you are insecure, but you got to dig deep for that. Maybe you're depressed, but you got to dig deep for that. Once you find what the source of it all is, like what is the source of your insecurity? What is the source of anything that you're dealing with? Maybe that little seed in your life, it could be in your childhood, whatever, but that little moment needed a boost, maybe, or whatever. Like maybe you need to think a little bit higher of yourself than you do, right? It's like we're sometimes in the wrong place at the wrong time, and we try and try and try, but no matter what, we can never be who we're supposed to be in the right time. It's like every moment that we go through feels wrong. Like everything just feels a little off because something is not synchronized between us and our reality, right? Like what I find the most important thing, that what I've learned, and I'll end it here. This is where I'll end the podcast. I want it to be short. And I would like to, every time I talk through the podcast, like to leave with something that I would give advice or like, share some knowledge that I've experienced. And what I would share that I think one of the most important things I've learned in my life is to, hold up, my mind went blank. Oh my God. I'm going to cut it and then think about it real quick. So, tell yourself that you're going to get through this, let's say they say hate is a strong word. They love to say that. People just love to say that hate is a strong word. But we have all probably, unless I'm just messed up and unless I'm just not human, I have been there and I've hated people. I hope that somebody can empathize with that. I hope that somebody can agree that we've all been there and have had at least one person that we have said, I hate you. Because they love to say hate is a strong word, but when it gets down to it, we've all been there. But this is what you do. When you feel those feelings towards whoever that is, say to yourself, and feel it too. You have to feel what you say too, but it's going to take time before you start to feel it. But just say it. I love you. And at first it'll be like, no, you don't want to say it, right? Like you just want to back off, but really you gotta say the opposite of what the negative emotion is. You kind of gotta make yourself think that you're okay. And that's the advice I'd leave behind. Thank you for listening, and you have a great day. You got this, kings and queens. Bye.